says you need a vacation for a view like this. Or, I wish there was a place to get in shape. Try getting on the beaten path. Discover an ever-expanding network of trails and greenways. Some quintessential Southern beauty. Or romp through the woods in a magical land between the rivers. There's more to explore than you ever imagined. Beyond the swing sets. Breck, we are more than a playground.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bugg Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Hello and welcome, and yes, it is that time again. Week 1 of the Roger Cador Show. Welcome back, big guy. How are you?
Oh, Clarence, it's wonderful to be back.
Yes, sir. Wonderful to be able to be back.
Well, that's even better.
A year older, year wiser, made it past COVID, all this kind of stuff. How you feeling, man?
Well, life is good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Every day,
Yeah.
unless, of course, you were one of the 20,000 people that got on an airplane and flew halfway across the country to watch LSU take on UCLA. Let's start with LSU football. Logistically, my layperson's mind says this had to be a bit of a nightmare. I mean, you are dealing with COVID protocols, then Ida puts Baton Rouge in the crosshairs, so you have to evacuate over to Texas. Then, aside from moving an entire team, all the equipment that's involved, you evacuate to Texas, then you got to load it all back up, fly it halfway across the country to Pasadena, California. Logistically, with that many people, is it a nightmare? Or because it's LSU, major college program, you got this stuff down to a science now?
Really? You really think they got it to a science?
No, I'm asking.
I doubt it. It's something you can't ever get ready for. It's a difficult thing when you have to pack up and leave the comfort of your home.
Right.
I mean, it's an adjustment that's involved when you leave home. And, it's even more of an adjustment. You go to Texas and practice a few days, and then you got to pack up, and you say halfway across the world. The country. Right. We went even further than that. We went as far as we could go without going into the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
So, but the one good thing out of that trip is that the fans got to see Hollywood. They went in and they saw Beverly Hills and some of the things that California had to offer that maybe they hadn't seen before. But as it relates to the game, I saw some good things. UCLA had played a game before.
Correct.
Which helped them to iron out some things. And I see some things where LSU could improve and do some things better. It's not a lost cause. They've got 2 games that's coming up that they can win.
True.
And that'll help their confidence. Obviously, they didn't play like a top-notch SEC team.
No.
Let's make sure I want the fans to understand that.
Yeah, yeah.
But, they got to get better. But I did see some areas. Offensive line got to get better. They have to run the ball. Give Johnson some time to pass. If he have time,
he was never comfortable.
Yeah, he could do something if he gets some protection.
Yeah. Now, you've got to give UCLA's defensive coordinator and staff a lot of credit. They had a masterful game plan. I mean, they disguised coverages, blitzes, to the point where Max was never comfortable.
They played. They really did. The guy he did it like a NFL defensive coordinator. I mean, they really did some good disguising.
Oh, yeah.
Kept the pressure on that offensive line to try and figure out what they should be doing.
Right.
And then Johnson, I mean, he just could not set up properly where he could go downfield with any of his passes.
Yeah. And on top of all of that, let's be honest here, brutally honest. You can't beat my late Aunt Mary's cousin's sister's team when you get 48 yards on the ground for the whole game.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
No, I don't care who you're beating.
No,
you're just not going to win many games doing that. And it's going to be that's a game LSU could have won. Had they played a little better, got a running game down, blocked a little better, defensive line could have played better. That's a game that's going to come back and get them because you got that tough SEC schedule. Forget about McNeese. Forget about Eastern or Western Michigan.
Right.
Forget about them. You got Florida. You got, they got Florida. They got Auburn. They got Alabama. You got Texas A&M. And I don't know who else. I know they play Arkansas and those schools.
Right.
And you got the two Mississippi schools. One of them going to give you trouble. So you really got a problem here. And the big old, I say big old, but old big baby need to find a way to be as awful positive with his team. And the coach is going to need to make some small adjustment so the kids can enjoy some success. When I was coaching, the main thing was, what can I do so my boys can enjoy some success?
Right.
Because from enjoying success lends to positive production. And that's what they have to figure out at this point.
When you're talking about, it's one thing in your case where you have a schedule that's this long.
Yes.
We're only talking about 12 games here. And when you come out of the gate and being honest, from an unranked team, you get your butt handed to you. Where do you go from there? Understanding you've only got 11 games left. You mentioned earlier, next two games they should win. I beg to differ. The two games they better win. They better win these next two, and better do it convincingly.
I'm sure Bebe could go to one of those LSU fans and have a sleepover. They could talk. Do you think so?
Don't make me lie to people.
Bebe, go to one of the most ardent fans and have a sleepover.
Yeah.
Y'all could talk a little X's and O's.
So, from a coaching standpoint, understanding that it's just a 12-game season, how do you restore the confidence after an opening loss to an unranked team like this?
They might have been unranked, but they weren't that bad. So I want to keep going because I want to make sure we understand that rank is done by somebody who writes stories.
Is this a reason why you put no credibility at all in the preseason
That's
rankings?
the point I'm making. Because somebody who writes stories are ranking teams.
Right.
UCLA played pretty doing good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, LSU is no slouch. And I want you to know, so they had to earn that victory against LSU. So they are better than what people are giving them credit for.
Yeah.
And they're basing it based upon what they did last year.
Uh-huh.
And this year is different because he got some transfer people in.
Well, yeah.
You know, and it's
Yeah.
different. You get 3 or 4 people that can make a huge difference in your team. So all I'm saying is that UCLA may be one of the better teams they're going to play all year.
Mm-hmm. What does your gut tell you? Is UCLA, which is it more of? UCLA is better than we thought, or LSU is not as good as we thought?
Listen to you, Clarence.
That's my job.
You're trying to put me in that trap here. Oh man, this is
Trying
something.
to put Roger in a trick bag.
Yeah, you got me in that trick bag. You got me in there. Yeah.
But inquiring minds want to know.
Well, maybe LSU is not as good as they're going to be, and UCLA is better than we thought they would be.
When you running for office, politician. Did y'all get that politician answer just now?
Well, it's early. It's one game into the season for LSU.
True.
I'm a former coach, and you never want to base everything on one game.
On one game, yeah.
Because you got to give him chance. He's got new offensive, defensive coordinators.
Uh-huh.
They're still putting in things, to try and help the kids to be successful. I just think that with those 2 games that they're playing, they're going to be able to make some adjustment and help the kids with some confidence. I'm really thinking this is what's going to happen.
Well,
but we'll see.
One adjustment they won't have to make as far as productivity is concerned, Keyshawn Boutte. He's the real deal.
He is the real deal.
Yeah.
He is the real deal.
Yeah.
And I think number 37, another wide receiver, is I can't think of his name. He's a pretty good player also. So they've got good offensive weapon. Running backs need to get better. Offensive line need to open some more holes and protect Johnson. And I think that once you do that, if you could sustain drives,
yep.
you don't want to all quick touchdown.
Yeah.
You want to be able to sustain drive. Mm-hmm. What that does is allow the defense to catch his breath,
yep.
try to figure out some things, and they go out there and they can give out more of an effort on the rushing and other things that they need to do.
When you take into account the fact that everybody from this point on is going to analyze this film in their preparations to take on LSU, taking that into account, understanding you've got to get better, how much tougher does that make for you to get better, knowing from game 1 somebody's put the game plan out there on how to beat you, and everybody that you're going to see for the rest of the season is going to look at that film?
Oh, no. They'll look at the film, but I think also they won't use everything that LSU did not do good in that film, because coaches still have to prepare teams to the things that they still do well.
Right. And they may not be able to do the things that UCLA could do.
Exactly. So that's the thing. So they may have a play or two. They're always going to do it and put it in their playbook that they may need use at a given time.
Right.
But they're not going to scrap what they've been practicing doing.
Yeah.
And the team personality is such.
Right.
To go do something somebody else did. You got me?
Yeah.
But I really think you're right. They will borrow some stuff. My biggest concern?
What's that?
Is that offensive line.
Yep.
Even though it's so much starts with the offensive line, defensive line, running, they have to run the ball.
Yep.
And that's where Lester Miles was so good. He was going to find a way to try and run the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we will see, said Ray Charles to Stevie Wonder, and we will be watching and waiting as the season progresses. We'll take our first break, and when we come back, we'll shift gears from purple and gold to blue and gold as we continue week 1 of the Roger Cador Show right here on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? at Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Looking to get some keys made, locks rekeyed, or a wide variety of new and used safe? Then look no further than the trusted choice of Alfred Safe and Lock, conveniently located off of Government Street in Mid-City, Baton Rouge. Trust the expert locksmith at Alfred for all of your residential, commercial, and industrial lock and safe needs. Trusted by Baton Rouge and me, Roger Cador, to protect what is yours since 1946.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back for segment 2 of week 1 of the Roger Cador Show. It is that time of year again, and it is certainly a pleasure to have you all tune in. Coach, we have a new sponsor that's going to be coming on board. The good folks that if you have ever ridden motorcycle, ATV, anything outdoor power, you're familiar with the name Calme's Outdoor Powerhouse. Great people and great products, don't they?
Yeah, you know, I used to know the daddy really good, and he passed. So I was pretty good friends with the dad, and I recruited his last 2 sons.
That's right.
You know, so
that's right.
You know, and they decided they wanted to come on over and be a sponsor. So we're real happy to have them on.
You know, we South Louisiana people, we appreciate, not that other people don't, but in South Louisiana, we're such people persons that we really have an affinity for good service. And they pride themselves at Calme's in giving you great service and great products. Now listen, don't take Coach's word for it. Don't take my word for it. When you're in the market for something great for your leisure time or your outdoor needs, do us a favor, and more important, do yourself a favor. Go see the folks at Calme's. They'll take care of you, and be sure, tell them, say, look, the big guy, Roger Cador, and the little guy, Clarence Buggs, told me to come by and see y'all because they said you'll treat us right. If they don't, well, let the big guy know. He'll take care of them. Can't say much about the little guy, but the big guy will take care of them. But trust me, you won't have to worry about that. The folks at Calme's Outdoor Powerhouse, they will take care of you, hands down. All right, let's shift gears from purple and gold and talk a little bit of blue and gold. Jason, new head coach, right out the blocks. Kind of tough to take on a team like Troy in your very first outing, isn't it?
Well, yeah, we knew that they were going into a hostile environment. Mm-hmm. And, you know, right off the bat, 3 of his starters were left at home.
Yep.
That's not good.
No.
Never good. Because if you lose 1 starter when you're playing up, you're in trouble, let alone 3. And then you get 2 players who are targeted for spearing or whatever.
Targeting, yeah.
Targeting. Yeah. And so that's 5 people you don't have.
Yep.
So that's, I'm not saying that the score would have been much different, but it does have an effect on your team when 5 of your better players not playing.
Well, yeah, and of course that probably also shows in the stats, or as you're familiar more so with in the box score, you're talking just 189 yards total offense. And of course that's probably why you only put 3 points on the board.
Yeah, what they have to do is hopefully they can, the administration, they can work things out, get these kids eligible, where they could be back on the field, and the team could be in one piece. Now, the team they're playing, Miles, this weekend, put up a great fight against Alabama State.
It's not going to be a cupcake.
I hear it won't be a cupcake.
Yeah.
Maybe cupcakes are over with nowadays.
Yeah. And that's a great segue for the next question. Is there more parity in college athletics now than in any time in recent memory?
Because of the transfer portal. That transfer portal has caused so much havoc in teams around the country.
Is it havoc or is it a road to parity?
Well,
or a little of both.
It's a little of both. The thing what happened is that some teams build their teams based upon recruiting. And then you got the guy here, and then he put his name in that portal, and then you don't have him anymore. It's not like years ago where a kid had to fight it out, stay and fight. Now, man, I don't like what you say. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
That's not good for America's kid.
Yeah.
Because
they were already down that road to begin with.
Well, these are the same people that's got to be parents, heads of household, leaders in the community.
Great point.
If they give up so easy now, they're
what are you going to do facing adversity later on in life?
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Good point, Coach. Great point. Now, let's draw back on your coaching experience. You know full well going into this game that you were playing up. You're Southern, this is Troy. You know that heading into this game, this is not Mississippi Valley you're playing. This is not Prairie View. You're playing up. You're playing Troy. What do you tell your team after a 55-3 final score?
Hey, God, the sun will rise in the east and set in the west. Let's prepare for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And all that's all basically, I don't know what he said, but I would say, hey, listen, we were overmatched. We didn't play well. We had no chance to win. Let's put it behind us and get ready for the next game. I mean, that's all basically you can say. Now, you can't badger the kid, beat them down, because they had no chance of beating Troy anyway. Football is the one sport where it's going to be difficult to beat the better teams. Could happen in basketball.
Brute force carries more weight in football than any other sport.
That's right. So they really had no chance of winning. I don't know what the payout was. But, that's why they went and played Troy. They got a payout. So, I mean, it would be foolish to think, and I think people live in foolishness to a large extent. To go think that you're going over there and going to beat those guys who have so much more than what you have. No.
So, from a coaching standpoint, what would you hope your team would learn from an experience like this?
Well, I would hope that they looked at what that team did well, some of the things they did well, how they paid attention to their assignments. You know what I'm saying? And I think if they did that, that would be the most beneficial thing that they could take away from that loss.
As you mentioned, home opener next on the schedule against Miles College. When you hear college versus university, typically people tend to think, okay, cupcake, home opener. But as you mentioned, they opened up the season against Alabama State. And Miles College, by the way, is a member of the SIAC, Southern, and yes, I do speak English, Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. Much lower than the SWAC. Alabama State had to go to overtime to beat these guys. So it's not going to be a cupcake walk, is it?
And I just think that a lot of kids transferred in there. They got out of some colleges and went in there. That's the only reason. It can't be any other thing.
Right.
Miles doesn't, I mean.
Well, but you got to give them credit for, and they've won the SIAC for the last 3 years in a row. So
really?
Apparently they were able to present their program in such a fashion that kids would want to come and play there.
And it's in Alabama, Miles?
Ooh,
I think it's an Alabama school, I think. And, you know, there aren't a lot of Division I schools in Alabama.
Right.
You got about 4 or 5.
Uh-huh.
So you have a lot of other schools.
Right.
NAIA, junior colleges. And so it's conceivable that they could get good players because they can't go, there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah. And on the heels of taking a SWAC school to overtime, you got to think they're going to come in to A.W. Mumford Stadium and on Pete Richardson Field. You got to think they're coming in with their heads full of, we can play against the SWAC. As a matter of fact, a bounce of the ball one way or the other, and we can get our first win against a bigger conference. I mean, you got to, if I'm the coach, that's what I'm telling my kids coming into Mumford.
And I'm thinking, not as a coach that's coaching football, but a coach who is away from football, but being a coach, that it's difficult for a team like Miles to go on the road 2 weekends in a row.
Right.
And beat a team that's allegedly have more players than them.
Right.
To beat them.
Right.
That's 2 weekends in a row. You got to play at a high level.
Right.
Can they do it 2 weekends in a row? It's always tough on that road.
Well, that's where you earn your money.
Well, Bobby Bond used to do it. He was the riverboat gambler.
Yeah, nobody on the planet thinks we can do it. We got to lean on each other. We can do this. We're the only ones that believe. That's where you earn your money as a coach, right?
Listen, Clarence. Hey, we got Clarence. He's want to be a coach here.
I learned that from Roger, y'all. I learned all of that from Coach. But knowing it's the second week in a row, knowing you are playing up, that's pretty much the only card in the deck that you can play, is it not?
Yeah, oh no, you don't have anything else other than that. I mean, you can just sell them the sky.
Yeah.
Because there it is. You're playing up.
Yeah. So, speaking of Mumford Stadium, this weekend they will officially dedicate the new Pete Richardson Field at A.W. Mumford Stadium. From somebody who's been there and done that, has a facility named after him. What does that mean? How does it feel to be so honored as to have a facility named after you?
Well, I'm still waiting for the name to go up.
Well, it won't be long. It's going up. It's going
but
up.
it's really a great honor. That means somebody thought you did a lot of good things, not only at the university but in the community. Because I think you can't have one without the other. You have to have done things in the community, give back, and that's what I think. I got a lot of good feelings about that, and I'm happy for Pete because we were at Southern together, and he did a lot of wonderful things.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he kept his players out of trouble. I mean, they graduated. I mean, so when you look at all of the good things that he did, and he never said much. He just won.
That's right.
Al Davis would have loved him. Just win, baby. I mean, and Pete never said a whole lot. He just did his job, and
he let his teams do their talking on the field.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed that this season there will be over 120 HBCU football games that will be either televised and or streamed. How important is it that we HBCU fans support this?
Well, I think it's very important. I think one of the things that's really, and I don't get into the politics of things, but I have to look at what is helping historical black schools more than anything is the Black Lives Movement matter. That has had a tremendous amount of enrollment. More and more black kids are going to historical black school because of that situation.
And you think that the networks and others in response to this are saying, all right, to be fair, we need to give coverage to these schools and to other smaller schools?
I think so. I think that they're being fair by doing it. And I think behind the scene, Clarence, which you and I don't know,
right?
But I think behind the scene, someone is doing a good job of marketing certain situation to these networks,
right?
Telling them.
Well, it's no secret. I mean, the stats are what the stats are. Southern, small school that it is, led the nation for how many years in attendance? And the only time we'd ever see them on TV was the Bayou Classic. So it's not as though it's never been there. The fan following, the loyalty, the pageantry, everything involved. It's just that now it took a little something to force the networks into acknowledging it and showing it to the rest of the country.
Well, I think, too, that there are different people in the room. You have more and more African-American men and women who are in the room making decisions. And that is the number one thing. And I think unless you have someone who could speak the language and understand the situation, people may not understand it.
Could this ultimately usher in a new golden age of HBCU football, or are we already in it and we just won't realize it until a little further down the road?
Well, I hate to use the word golden age because golden age simplifies something that it used to be like in the SWAC.
Right.
And I don't know if we can ever go back there.
Right.
But I think if we can put the finances in place and hire the quality people, they can put a good product on the field that people can be very proud of.
Yeah. Well, when I say golden age, I live under no illusions. We will never have the Eddie Robinsons, the Collie Nicholsons, the W.C. Gordons, the Marino Chasms. Those days are gone. Those individuals were just one-in-a-lifetime opportunities and individuals. But who knows? Before all is said and done, maybe HBCU football will get the recognition that it deserves. Another break, and we'll get this out of the way. Come back and talk more on week 1 of the Coach Roger Cador Show. Stay close.
What a wonderful world.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Surprise, something good has finally happened in 2020. Yours truly, the Clarence Bugg Show, gets to be with you every day of the week. That's right, 11 to 12 every weekday. And of course, the Exiles right in front of yours truly from 10 to 11, yours truly 11 to 12. So now it's appointment viewing. 5 days a week here on the Pelican. The Clarence Bugg Show. The only thing missing is you.
Who says you need a vacation for a view like this? Or, I wish there was a place to get in shape. Try getting on the beaten path. Discover an ever-expanding network of trails and greenways. some quintessential Southern beauty, or romp through the woods in a magical land between the rivers. There's more to explore than you ever imagined. Beyond the swing sets, Breck, we're more than a playground.
Welcome back to week one of this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Did you ever think we would arrive at this point? I mean, in between COVID and the ups and the downs and this and that and the other, did you think we would ever get back to this point, Coach?
Well, you always want to be positive, because I felt that, when we started taking the vaccine,
right,
to try and protect us, I think
right,
that helped a great deal. It gave me the confidence that we would be able to do it.
And you're just such a positive person by nature. That's just who you are. Where did you get that from? Where did that come from?
Well, I have to say my daddy. I mean, even though he liked opportunity and was denied opportunity,
right,
but he was always positive about the things he could do.
But he didn't want you to go the route that you went, right?
Yeah, but he didn't. The system fogged him up a little,
right,
when he was trying to deny me, because I was the last one. He needed me there to work.
Yeah.
I was the last of the three. So when he came to reality, his senses,
right,
he was all right.
Yeah,
he knew he had made the right decision. And his life got better.
How tough do you think that was for him, knowing what he had been subjected to, what he had gone through, what his vision of life and America and Louisiana and the South was at the time? How tough do you think that adjustment was for him to make?
It was difficult. Let me tell you, I often say, and I think about it, my father gave up the only thing he knew how to do. He gave it up in order to let me go.
Yeah.
And he had to start all over.
Wow.
Doing something he hadn't done before.
Wow.
So when people got to think about that. That's why I tell kids all the time, parents would do the hell of a thing for their kids.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes we're too young and immature to realize it.
Yeah.
But I used to often think about it. My daddy gave up all he knew how to do. But what made it easier, had the man treated him like a decent person,
right,
he probably would have stayed and did it.
Right.
Because he didn't treat him right, it made it a lot easier to walk away and start something else.
Now, on the other side of that coin is the beauty of America. That here's a young, poor African-American kid from the island side of New Roads in little old bitty Poincapie Parish. But because of the opportunities, despite what his dad had gone through, despite what many people had subjected you and him to at the same time, here it is now, you're a Hall of Famer. Isn't that the beauty of America?
I'm a Hall of Famer, Clarence?
Oh, yeah.
You said that?
Oh, yeah. No, the Hall said it.
Okay.
The Hall said it.
Yeah. Well,
that's the beauty of America.
Yeah, I do say, because in my talk to many people, I tell them this is the greatest country. Because I've been to several countries, and we have a lot of problems. But going to another country and see the problem they got.
Oh, yeah.
But you still can make choices here. America give you an opportunity to make choices. I was helping a Mexican lady. She speaks English. Her husband is Honduran, and he doesn't speak any English.
Okay.
And they have worked, and she talked to me. She was having some issue with some people, and she called me for help. She said, "You're the only person I knew how to call. You'll help me." Right. And I helped her solve that problem.
Right.
Solved it. We're about to take advantage. And she called me the other day. She said, "I want to share something with you." She said, "My husband and I has bought a home."
Wow.
And she said, "We've got 2 rental properties." I said, "Yours, this is great." I said, "Isn't America great?"
Oh,
she
yeah.
said, "It is."
Oh, yeah.
She said, "That's why we're here." I'm telling you, this is so great that I feel so good, because I saved this lady out of a terrible situation.
Yep.
And they were able to do something, man. And that lady
There's
cried
no
because,
greater feeling than that. Is there?
no, and helping people.
Yep.
Helping people.
Yep. Well, that's one thing about you that I can. If anybody ever tries to convince me otherwise, as little as I am, they're gonna have a hell of a fight on their hands, because your entire career wasn't about wins and losses.
Oh no.
It's about helping people.
That's right.
And typically life, through examples like yours, life has shown me, Coach, in no uncertain terms, if you make your journey about helping other people, the journey's going to be a success.
It will.
Yeah.
The Bible talks about it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you got to help people. And the journey, it's going to have some ups and downs, but they're going to be minor.
Wouldn't be a journey without ups and downs.
That's right.
Yeah. A dear friend of mine who's now departed used to be fond of the saying, there is no testimony without a test.
Yes.
The root word of testimony is test. So unless you have a test and go through something, you have no tale to tell about what you went through.
I mean, my wife and I used to talk about some of those tests you're talking about.
Yeah.
That I used to have in.
Oh, you've had your share, didn't you?
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, Lord.
I couldn't laugh then, but I can laugh now.
Right.
Because she was serious, and that's the one thing about women. They want to protect their man. That's one thing they will, if they see someone trying to harm you, hurt you, they will protect you to the end. And that's why, people need to understand that. So, and I understood that part about her.
Right.
And I said, but I got it.
Yeah.
I said,
yeah.
I used to say, those are some of the things that people do. And you just got to overcome it.
Yeah.
That part she didn't understand as clearly as I did.
Right.
But I knew I said, they do it all the time.
A few minutes ago, we talked about you being a Hall of Famer. I've got to imagine, and I've said this before, you have to felt like a proud papa. A couple of weekends ago, actually mere days ago, Ricky Weeks, SU legend, Cador protege, inducted into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. What was it like sitting in there watching this young man be honored that way?
Well, you see, I don't have enough time to explain, but I was going through
you do. It's the Roger Cador show. You got all the time.
You hear that,
Marty?
But my mind was transitioning into backward, into some of the path we took, and how it all happened, because you have to start thinking about it. It's not like Ricky Weeks was that people thought he was a fireballer.
Right.
Nobody thought nothing of him.
Wow.
Other than one of my former players who became a coach and a scout, who saw him and called me, Jerry Flowers.
That was going to be the next question. How did this come about?
And he wasn't even the scout in the area. He was scouting Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois. It was cold that time of year. It was February. They sent him down to Florida, to Snowbird. That's what they call it.
Right.
He went down there the first day there, and he said, man, I saw this guy, man. Man, he's got a bat. He said, you need to get on him right now. Nobody's on him. Wow. Had the number, called his mom, and immediately she was excited. Then I called her another week later, and she said, something about you. You're going to coach my son. I want him to play for you.
Had never met her or him.
This was in February. Then fast forward into May, I go to see Ricky play in an all-star game in Orlando.
Right.
They had 5 number 1 draft choices in that game. They had over 100 scouts, general managers, scouting director. They were all there.
Right.
And I'm looking and I said, oh my goodness.
I don't have a shot.
I ain't got, not with all these people.
Not with these big wigs.
Well, I'll be doggone it. Nobody said nothing to him. And so when I walked in, His mother was sitting in the stand and she saw me and she literally ran out of the stand and said, I knew I was right. I knew you were the man. Can you imagine that? And I said, Miss Weeks, how you? She said, I just know it.
That makes me, as a Christian man and a believer in God, that makes me think that was ordained, Coach.
Well, she is a minister.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Whoa.
She's a minister, and she said, I was right. I mean, even when she was at the Hall of Fame induction on the 31st of August,
right,
or 28th,
right,
in Natchitoches, and she said, I've told everybody that I could think of about you and what you did for my son and how it all happened.
Right.
She remembers it.
Wow.
Because, I mean, can you imagine that woman running out of the stand and saying, I knew I was right.
Right. Right.
She just saw me walking in and she said, I knew I was right. I must be one hell of a guy. I have to be something. I had to have something raised, sparking off out of me. I mean, it had to. How could that woman know that?
What y'all don't realize is his cape. Every time we do the show, he tucks the cape inside his shirt, so inside his coat. So y'all don't know that Superman is sitting up here. What was, for you, the easiest thing to coach for Ricky? Well, two-part question. What was the easiest to coach about him, and what was the toughest to coach for him?
Well, it was easy because, remember, here's a guy, All-American, great player, and I moved him twice. I played him in center field his first year, and then I moved him to short his sophomore year and called him in my office, and I said, listen, a lot of coaches could never do that. They would be afraid to move an All-American.
Right.
I said, hey, listen, I'm going to need to move you to second base. Fernando is better than you at shortstop. Right. And I said, Ricky, you ain't going to play shortstop in the big league. You're going to play second base.
Whoa.
And he said,
and you were right, too.
And he said, Fernando is better than me, and I'm going to go to second, and I'm going to work hard.
What did that say to you that a young man would acknowledge that one of his teammates was better at a position than he was?
Well,
is that just who Ricky is?
That's who Ricky is. But the fact that he had the coach who was willing to tell him that, that Ricky Fernando was better than him at shortstop.
Right. And it's not like you had lied to him about something else before that.
Never lied to him.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we weren't saying Fernando had more ability than him, just better at shortstop. And we moved him to second base, and everything just took off. And he was the second player taken in the draft.
So is that from the Hall of Fame? Yeah, we've got some B-roll from the Hall of Fame. I didn't...
Tonight we are honored to have Ricky Weeks, one of my former players, who is going into the Louisiana Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Ricky, it's good to see you. And
yes, you too.
How does it feel?
It feels great. Kind of overwhelming, in some parts, but when you hear some old teammates, family and friends, I mean, it's just an honor, really, just an honor.
It wasn't easy for me to get here because
I know
3 or 4 people bailed out on me because of the weather.
Right.
And finally, we got one of your former teammates, Kevin Vital, who was able to make it, and we struggled. We had to take an alternate route, and we got here.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm happy to see you, Tiffany, and the kids.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a wonderful event. But let's say this, Ricky. Tell the people some of the things that you had to go through to be a Louisiana Hall of Famer.
Well, the biggest thing for me was just trying to come in and you try to set the tone. And what I mean by setting the tone is coming in working hard, putting my head down. Obviously that comes with being a good teammate and going out and to try to do the best thing to make your team win. And that's what I try to do. So and that kind of carried over to the big leagues as well. But man, for the most part, like I said before, it's about creating relationships at Southern University. How they took a chance on me, and obviously you, Coach, got taking a chance on me and bringing me in where no one did. So
well, the other thing, Ricky, is that a lot of young people need to know when you came to me, we started you out in center field.
Right. Yep.
You played the first year in center field. The next year you played your first few games at shortstop.
Yep.
And then I called you into the office and said, Ricky, I really think you're going to be better at second.
Right.
Let's go there. And you made all of the adjustment without saying a word.
Yep.
You felt that I had your best interest at heart, and you went and work at it. So tell young people it's good to listen to the coach.
Well, the biggest thing is, of course, listen to the coach, and I think it takes a sense of humility, I think, and it takes a sense of man, what I call want to. And I wanted to be better. I wanted to be good. I wanted to go to the next level. So with those kind of combinations combined, I mean, you're the right man for the job for me.
Okay, thank you. I see where they're calling you to get in.
Yeah.
And we got to cut the interview short, but thanks for taking the time.
Of course, Coach, you know that.
All right. That in there.
Coach, what was it like for you? And do you remember any other instance where a coach was inducted into a Hall of Fame and 2 years later, one of his players inducted into the very same Hall of Fame?
Oh, I'm sure it has happened, Clarence, and I don't want to, but I can't go on record and tell you who did it and when and where. But I'm
Same
almost
here.
certain that we're not the first.
Yeah.
Because there's been too many great situations where great players was coached by someone. Like, for instance, Rod Dado, from USC.
From USC,
Yeah. I'm sure he went into a Hall of Fame. Tom Siebel and all them great players he coached went into a Hall of Fame maybe right after he did. And or the coach from Florida State, Martin, and then Ron Frazier, and maybe Skip Berkman. I mean, I don't know. It's really hard to say.
2003, Ricky earns National Collegiate Player of the Year. It's still amazing to me that in the game of baseball, that so many, tens of thousands play. God knows how many universities, major college, medium-sized schools, smaller schools, that a kid from an HBCU in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, earns that honor. That's special, Coach.
Well, it takes a special person. And I gave an example, like Jackie Roosevelt Robinson was that guy that was the first to play in the major league. Ricky Weeks was the first, was that special guy to win it at a HBCU. All of those things have to be realistic in order for someone to have it. Somebody saw Branch Rickey, knew that something was special about Jackie Roosevelt Robinson. I knew it was something special by Ricky Weeks, and I did all the things behind the scene. I had to get a lot of people on board because it was a stigma I had to break. I had to break the stigma that anything black is inferior. And people thought that black schools were inferior. I mean, that was the stigma, and I kept saying, y'all got it all wrong. Could I have gotten angry and mad, say ugly things?
But that would have been counterproductive.
I kept working through it. Y'all just got it all wrong. Let's give this young man a chance. And wise words, smooth everything over so people would listen to what I had to say.
Is that problem that you just talked about, does it also exist on the side of athletes and parents thinking, I really don't want to entertain this offer. After all, it's a small school, it's an HBCU. There's only so much I'll be able to do.
I've had some of my former players who've had good sons, and they wouldn't send them to the school. They played professional ball under me. One guy made All-American under me, and he wouldn't send his son because he said the swag. Well, he said the swag is not that good, and I said, you made All-American here.
How could you say
that? And
that?
I said, Ricky Weeks just won the Golden Spikes Award. How could you say that? And he couldn't justify it, but he had been listening to the foolishness that is discussed on the streets.
Because the street committee.
And listen, let me tell you, the thinking is, if I send my son to a bigger school, we're going to get a lot of publicity. That's what it all comes to. These parents living in a fantasy world. And they send their kids to places they ought to not.
Of course, now that is the same bunch of folks that buy into the travel ball thing that's ruining the sport on a lot of different levels. Our time is getting short. So let's shift gears because a couple of things we want to talk touch bases on. Recently, New Orleans Saints announcing that Jameis Winston will in fact be the official starting quarterback for the Saints. No big surprise there, huh?
He earned it. The times I saw him play, he did really a good job. Plus, he's maturing under Peyton's system.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something about Peyton's system that brings the best out in people. And I think that he's good for he's still quite young.
Well,
he's a 27-year-old quarterback who's been in the league 7 years. And that year off helped him a lot. So I think the Saints really got a good deal with him.
When you look at the fact that Jameis had, and it's no big secret, he had his share of immaturity problems, particularly while in college, and then after coming out of college and going to the NFL. Is that one of Sean Payton's strongest suits, being able to reclaim an individual that has kind of gone off the path and getting him back focused where he needs to be? Is that the sign of a really good coach?
I like that. You reclaim him.
Yeah.
You know, and that happens. Some people need to be reclaimed.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that Peyton come out of the system with Parcells and them guys, and that's what they do. Now, Peyton has his own way of handling things.
Well, yeah.
And I just think players respect him so they like him, and they'll do what he asks them to do.
Of course, now, speaking of deja vu all over again, with the team having to relocate to Texas because of Ida, may well be there up to a month. Having gone through this before with Katrina and all that was encompassed there, does it ever get any easier having to entertain doing this in the case of Sean Payton and his staff?
Well, it's different players totally.
True.
These are different players, so it's never going to get any easier. Anytime you leave the comforts of your home, Clarence, it's a big adjustment. People need to know that. That's why people love playing at home. They can sleep in their own bed.
Yeah. Of course, now, some people might say, well, yeah, that is what that is, but you're a professional. If that's what it takes to get the job done, that's what you're expected to do. What do you say to that person?
You're a person first who happens to be a professional.
Right.
And, I don't listen to that stuff where people, you have to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Because people need conversational peace.
Yeah.
And that's all that is. So I'd rather a person be at home, sleep in their bed, and they usually do better.
And at the end of the day, if the street committee doesn't have stuff to talk about, they won't be the street committee.
That's right. That street committee is something, boy.
Yeah.
You just got to know how to stay your distance from them.
And one thing you will be well advised to learn, the street committee, that street leads somewhere. And you better be careful about getting led down the road by the street committee. Just saying. We are so enamored to be back in football season and back in, we got to figure out how many years we've been doing this now. We're closing the door on 20 years now that we've been doing this. On behalf of the coach, the big guy, floor producer extraordinaire, my man Marty, everybody out in the truck, and Bill, brand new on camera today, we thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to being with you next week with another exciting edition of the Roger Cador Show.
What a wonderful world!